going down. Nothing's going down that straight.
Yeah, to start with, it's designed to pick up personal beginning.
So I'm going to give the exhibitors a couple of minutes before we get started. So we'll start pretty soon.
You need to advertise.
I don't know how to do that, right? I don't know how to get to them.
The PA
I don't know how to get to the PA, right?
over there and say, okay, Micromouse.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be good. You're on your way to see the mouse. Fantastic. We're going to start in 2 minutes. Great. We should start the APEC Micromouse contest. So I see that we have a lot of people that have seen this before. I'm delighted to have all of these fans, and I think we have a great contest this year. So let's start with pick one. So for those of you that don't know what this contest is all about, the idea is to build a robot by itself, gets from the corner of the maze to the middle. No flash fixtures during the run, please. The sensors, most entries use infrared sensors to measure the walls, and they're lighting up the walls themselves. So if you provide a lot of extra light, it can really upset the sensors. And unfortunately, if the entry gets a mistaken wall in the maze, it tends to stay there. And so then it may block a valid path or it may make some other unfortunate mistake. So anyway, the idea is to try to build a robot that can get from the corner of the maze to the middle. So any of the 4 goals in the middle is a valid goal. And so wherever you race this particular contest, you always know where the vehicle has to start, you always know where it has to go, and you know that this is a 16 by 16 grid, and you know that the spacing is about 18 centimeters from center to center of the wall. And so that gives you information that you can build your robot at home, but then you can race it wherever you go. So we get 5 tries. Tonight we're giving everybody 7 minutes. So usually on the first try, if everything goes according to plan, you'll use that for searching. And so at the beginning, you don't know where the walls are, you know where they could be. Typically, you have a big matrix in your mouse that has all the wall positions, possible wall positions. And as you go through the maze, you fill that in with opens and closes, and then there'll be some that you still don't know yet. So now it's running on its second run. So the first run didn't get to the goal, so there's no score associated with that, okay? So now it's still searching. Hopefully, I don't know whether he reset it or not. He didn't. Okay, so it remembered some things from the first search, and so it may take a different path the second time because it's remembering some of those things. Always the good question is, did it make any mistakes in filling in the maze map while it was crashing? And so you never know exactly what to do. Some people erase all the recent information that they collected whenever it crashes.
Which I should have done.
All right. So one of the reasons that we use this one to run first, this is a very mature entry. If you looked at my program, which is sitting on the back of these bleachers, so if people are interested, there's a lot of technical information about these entries. This one has a PIC processor that has a built-in BASIC. And so this entry is actually programmed in BASIC. It's running interpretively. And so it's quite impressive that it runs as smoothly as it does and as well as it does with a program that's running relatively slowly because it's interpretive. In terms of measuring its position, it has a relatively coarse measurement of distance. No flash photography during the runs, please. So this one, I think he said, divides 1 square, so that's 18 centimeters into 144 points. A lot of mice will divide 1 centimeter into 144 points, so they may have 10 or more times the resolution. So if you're successful in getting to the middle, then you have the option to search more. So there are certain walls that you haven't seen yet. You may decide, well, if they're open, then that would make a better path. But if they're not open, all right. If they're not open, you know, then it's not a better path. So you might have to search for that. So there's some ways that you can think about whether you should search more or not.
I'm going to try and see if it can do a fast run.
Yeah, let's do it. You still have, it's the 4th run, you still have time. So depending on your entry, the first thing that the fast run would do is try to cut off all the mistakes. So it would try to go directly according to its best path. It may go faster, depending on whether it's part of its capability. All right. Excellent. So you look up here, and there's a run time, and there's a score time. So one of the things that we want to do in this contest, we want to make it interesting for people to watch. And so often searching is considered dull, and so we want to encourage you not to search too much. And so we put a penalty on searching. So 1/30 of the time that you spend searching is added to your run. So when you look at the score up there, the score includes those kinds of penalties. We also value independence. So we want the entry to work without touching it. Oh, we got real speed here.
Cut the corners.
All right. So you see it's doing some diagonals. So that's impressive because this is really neat. I mean, programmed in BASIC. This is cool. No. Oh. All right, that was the 5th run. So what was our best score? 45.6. Okay, so that's our first entry. The second entry is going to be EduMouse. So again, if you look in the program, this is a very interesting entry. This is a professor at a university in Taiwan, and he's developed this entry as part of a course that he's teaching. And it has all kinds of interesting characteristics, but one of the things it has is it has sensors that don't have very high resolution. So it turns out that when we see the mice that are running later, they typically have motors that are expensive. They probably cost $100 a piece, and they have very good encoders on them. So if you want to make something that's much more appropriate for using in an educational class, you'd like to be able to use cheaper motors. But the motors may not have good encoders on them. In fact, typically they have no encoders at all. So he's built encoders out of his wheels. He's drilled 6 holes in the wheels, and there's infrared sensors that look out toward those holes. And so he can measure 4 times the number of holes, so 24 counts on each turn of the wheel. So that's a fairly coarse kind of a resolution, and it doesn't typically allow the entries to accelerate and decelerate smoothly if you don't really know your position well. And so he has an accelerometer on here, and in the software he's integrating the accelerometer with the encoder position. So sensor fusion. So it's made its first run to the middle. So on the very first run, you'll notice that the score and the time are the same. So there's no search penalty. He hasn't touched it, so there's no touch penalty, so that's why they're the same. Now he's still searching, so on the second run, he'll have more search time. So the scores will start to be different. But he hasn't touched it yet, so he still gets the touch penalty. So one of the strategies is to decide whether you search as you head in, and then you search as you come back, and then you just run with what you know. All right. So that run itself was 9.6 seconds. So that's a very, very impressive run for a mouse that only has encoders that have 24 counts per wheel rotation. So that's really neat. So one of the strategies then that I was talking about, he searched on the way in, and then he searched on the way back, and then he did a run with that, okay? So now he's in the middle. He can do more searching on the way back to see if there's an improved run. After 1 or 2 runs, you typically have enough search penalty that you're not likely to have the best score anymore. So at this point, having your tires clean is probably more valuable than the 2 seconds for touching it. And so people will typically, after maybe 2 runs, not always, pick it up, clean the tires, and then run. All right. So was that faster?
No, it's 9.769.
It's the same. Okay. So before the contest, we carefully clean the maze with one of these sticky rollers. This lint roller really has changed Micromouse a great deal. People use them to clean the maze. They use them to clean the tires. It's a lot nicer than it used to be. But everybody wants everything to be as clean as possible. All right. So that was a couple tenths faster. So he told me that these motors are about $2 each. So this kind of performance off a $2 motor when most people are running with $100 motors is cool. All right. Yeah, so that was another 4 tenths faster. Perfect. So his best score was 13.2, right? 0.3. All right, our next contestant is our timer. Are you going to do you're going to run it, right, Peter?
I'm going to try.
Or do you want me to? We'll work it out.
So I just need to press A for on.
Yes.
Can do. If you want.
No, I think I can.
You okay?
All right, our third entry is Zeta 6. So you notice as it goes down the straightaway, it sort of accelerates and then slows down, accelerates and slows down. So it's trying to slow down in case there's a wall ahead. And then if it doesn't see it, then it speeds up again. Sometimes people want it to just run smoother, and so they set the maximum velocity a little bit below that. But it's hard to give away anything when you're trying to program it. All right. 39 seconds. So I think the previous mouse took about 70 seconds to search. Are you going to do a full search before you stop? Yeah, okay. So his plan is only to use one run for the search. So he searched in, now he's going to search back, but he's not going to go into the start square. Once you get very close to the beginning, you've probably been there before. So then he'll start going toward the middle again, looking for anything that he didn't learn the last time. You try not to over search because there's a penalty associated with searching. Oh, okay. So you think it's finished searching?
Yeah.
All right. So on one pass in and out, it was able to learn what it needed. All right, 11. And he was able to do that without touching it, right? So now at this point, he gets the 2-second penalty for touching. Outstanding. 9. So that's the third run.
I think that this should be it.
It's running really well. It's great. So this long straightaway is difficult for the entries because there's no cues about where they are as they go down. And so typically as you accelerate your tire slip, you're actually not as far ahead as you think you are. And then when you slow down, you're also slipping. Yeah. No, you got one more run. Clean the tires. Give us a shot. That doesn't make any sense.
I need the slide to make that turn.
All right. All right. So what was our best? 14.4. Okay, so Lightning McQueen is our next entry. So we have people from all over the world at this contest. The first entry was from the UK. The second one is from here, from Taiwan. The third one is from the United States. These gentlemen have come from China. So they had a contest before Christmas, and the winner of that contest was nominated.
Hang on, I screwed up. I hit E, and this is.
Oh, you have to wait till it's done.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I was trying to hit QUEEN, and it kicked. I hope I didn't lose your data.
Yeah, you're racing it, but it's okay.
Sorry.
All right, now you should be able to enter it again.
Nope. Escape. Q for quit. Q for quit.
All right.
I'm just going to do lightning.
Yeah. Good. What do you see?
So we'll just have to rely on the logs.
Yeah,
It's not.
He's got the data.
Oh, yeah, plus it's not. None of these mice are. Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't know it was going to. We should fix that one wall. Just fix it.
All right, are we ready now?
Yeah.
We think. Okay, good. So this group had a contest in China, in Tianjin, which is where they're from, and they were the winners of that contest, so they were able to come to APEC as a result of that. So these teams, I think, were here in 2015. We had an entry with a similar name, but it didn't have the turbo on it. So the turbo is a fan. They've added a fan onto this entry that that pulls it down onto the ground. And so that increases the downforce. It's like a Formula One car at very high speed. All right, so 20 seconds on the search run. Very impressive. So typically the fan uses a lot of power, and so it's not typically run during this part of the contest. It's only used during the high-speed runs at the end. Well, there's a huge amount of interest in Micromouse in China, and a number of us have been there to sort of popularize it. Okay. Can you hear the fan? And you see the result? All right. 6 seconds. So one of the things that we try very hard to do is to bring the best entries from around the world so that you can see them. And so this is the result of that. So typically I'll go to Japan to participate in their Micromouse contest in November, and I'll look at all the different entries there. And so we can bring some of those to APEC. Sometimes I go to Taiwan for a similar purpose. It's my hobby too, but I'm not participating. I've sort of become non-competitive. All right. Is it better? Yeah.
105 milliseconds.
So about 1/10 of a second faster. Finished? Okay. Fantastic. So these are college students. Okay, what was our best score? So the best time was about 6 seconds, but the best score is a little bit slower because of the touch penalties and the maze time. Okay, our next entry is from the UK, Fab 1. So this is an interesting entry because you'll notice, if you can see it from where you're sitting, it actually has more wheels than most of them. So most of the entries that we've seen so far had either 2, or today most people have 4 wheels. And this one actually has 6. And the middle set of wheels are set to be slightly lower than the ones at the front and the back. So that would give the vehicle a bit of a rock. So the idea is that when you're turning, most of the weight is on the middle set of wheels and the thing turns very nicely. But when you accelerate, it'll be on the middle and the back wheels, and so it's on all driving wheels. And then when you brake, it's on the middle and the front wheels. So this is, I think you're the one that pioneered this, right? Derek is the first one that made this. Now, a chap in Singapore went one better and put 8 wheels on his, so he went crazy. But I couldn't get him to come this year. People are always trying to put diagnostics on their entries, and so buzzers are things that are commonly there. If you were close to this, you might hear it beeping from time to time. Usually these things are quite flexible, and so that diagnostic can be used in many ways. So you can typically understand what it's about. It seems like when it sees an opening, it beeps, but I don't know that for a fact. Now, whether it knows where it is the $64 question at this point. It seems to be pretty good. All right. Outstanding.
Did auto start?
Oh, well, that's interesting. Contrary to what you might think, often they do things that you can't understand. All right, well, it got the deviation out of its system, but its tires are getting tired now, getting dirty, so maybe that'll fix it. There's certain kinds of turns that are quite difficult, and one of them is to turn into a 45-degree turn, so it's quite a sharp turn. I don't know if you're going to end up doing that or not, we'll see. But when those things come up, you have to be very accurate in your forward position when you make that turn. One more. Oh. All right. Okay, 24.58 was the best score. Thank you, Derek. Okay, Micromouse now there, if you had the program, you'll notice that there are two different entries that he could have run. He wasn't sure which one. So this gentleman is a student in Japan, and he has 2 term papers due today, but he was able to get an extension so that he could finish his entry for tonight. So he decided that this is the one he's going to run. So this is real dedication. When I make the program, I send emails to everybody to say, you know, whatever you'd like me to write about your entry, I'll be happy to put in. And in his case, he says, I'm too busy. Just put the entry in that these are the ones I'm going to run, and I can't give you the information, the technical information.
This mouse is 4WD mouse. The first mouse 4WD. I made this the year before us, and this is I made the new mouse last year, but that mouse is slower than this, so I bring that.
So it's interesting, it often takes a little while to get a new entry faster than your old one. Sometimes they just come out really fast, but often they need some tuning or love to make them really quick. He came in 6th at the last Japanese contest, so that's pretty good. Not everybody involved in the Japanese contest is involved in Micromouse, but they had 430 entries in their event this year. So they have line followers, they have beginners and experts in full-size Micromouse, and they also have a half-size contest. So in the half-size contest, all the dimensions are half of this, except the overall maze. So it can be a 32 by 32 maze. So it's huge. And if it weren't for the fact that they're quite fast, it could take a long time for them to search. But they're very little. They're very cool. Did you start again?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he decided to clear the maze memory and to go again.
Something wrong with my front ball sensor, and so the mouse couldn't see the front ball, and he tried the
So often in the high-speed run, you actually don't use the front sensor because you turn before you actually get close to a wall. But you need it, obviously, during the search. And so one of the things that's so sad is if an entry, which can be fast, is unable to search. And so you actually never get to see that. And if you're working on a team that's building a mouse, and one guy is responsible for the maze solver, and someone else is responsible for the navigation, if it never navigates properly, then you never get to test the maze solver. So that also causes great unhappiness. All right. So the standards for the maze are sort of semi-intentionally not terribly precise. The dimensions are fixed, but the floor is supposed to be flat black, and the walls, are supposed to be reflective white. But there can be different plastics, and it turns out the plastic also changes over its life. And so plastic that's in a box and doesn't get exposed to ultraviolet light has a different color than that does. So I have some walls for this maze that are new, and nobody likes me to use them because they're different than the ones that are old. And so you never know whether the maze design this year will require us to use these new walls. We always hope it won't. So we allow everybody 7 minutes to participate. It's a normal time. This year in Japan, they only gave people 5 minutes. So, but we have a wider range of people that are participating, and so we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to finish. By and large, I don't think anyone has run out of time tonight, so that's not really a problem. We've got about 2 minutes left, so still plenty of time. All right, hear the fan? All right, 6.5. Huh? Oh, yeah, another minute, more than a minute. Yeah, one more run. So now he has to decide what parameters to put in, whether to push really hard and risk crashing, or to not push so hard and risk going too slow. All right, thank you very much. I'm glad it got a good high-speed run. Okay, so now this will be our second entry from China, Long Turbo 2. So this is the one that actually won the contest, their internal contest that they had. Sometimes the positions change after the fact, but at the time of their contest, this was the faster of the two. We had another team from China that was going to come, but they weren't able to get a visa. So That's unfortunate. All right. All right, get ready. All right. It doesn't seem right. The question is whether it started sooner when he did the dance in the start square. Go. Oh, is he going to clean it? Okay.
No, I watched.
Okay, okay. So
No, I may have missed many.
we don't understand it.
It's way faster than.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have it on video too.
All right. 5.77. I think that's our fastest so far. I understand.
Yeah, I may not have started it properly, so I will check later.
We will check. We have a second record.
The second run was without touching, and so we will check the video before we figure it out. Yeah. You should keep going. Yeah.
So for each run, we need to check. The box is not big, sorry, that's my.
All right, 5.8.
Theoretically, this should be the fastest student.
At the end, the best of these numbers.
All right. You have one more? No? Done. All right, thank you. What?
784. Yeah. His best one.
There may be an issue with the timing of this, but we'll resolve it later. We are recording the video. All right, we're down to the last two entries. This is Peter Harrison from the UK. Decimus 5A. It is. No. So you started the search over, right? Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. Oh. Let's will it into the middle. Oh dear. All right. 6.356. Yeah. 3. So what was the best score?
17.16.
All right. Thank you, Peter. All right. Our last entry from Japan, Red Comet. I think it was 2015, this gentleman won the APEC contest. So I don't want to jinx him, but. Don't take any flash pictures, please. All right. All right. Huh? It didn't stop. It's too little. We're having trouble with my scoring system this year.
He still has the best scoop.
He did, yeah. No, it's not.
No, we just got to do. We'll figure it out. We'll just take a breather and do, Junhui has it on his phone. So I think. Yes. Yep.
It doesn't stop it. Yeah.
I mean, it does stop it, but much delay.
Yeah.
You want me to manually hit it?
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. I'll know which one it was.
But if I hit it, it will not override that, right?
If it's already stopped, it's.
Now.
5.12. All right, one more.
Let's do it again, Peter.
Outstanding. Thank you.
So we should watch the Casey's time.
What can we say? Anything? What can we say? Anything?
Yeah, we can say definitely that who the winner is.
System issues. It's going to take us a little while to figure this out. So I apologize.
Okay, I made a mistake. With Lamia-san's first background, I did not record.
No, we don't need a 2 minute bit. We need long stuff.
Well, we might.
So, where'd my guy go? Hi. Hi. Yeah, we can stop recording. We might need to look at it. So.